Hi, my name's Ilma and welcome to my channel. I've been posting Christian blogs 13 straight years every day. Today I'd like to share Romans 9 verses 30 to 33. Here's the word of God. What shall we say then? That Gentiles who did not pursue righteousness have attained it, that is, a righteousness that is by faith? But that Israel who pursued the law, what would lead to righteousness, did not succeed in reaching that law. Why? Because they did not pursue it by faith, but as if it were based on works. They have stumbled over the stumbling stone, as it is written, Behold, I am laying in Zion a stone of stumbling and a rock of offense, and whoever believes in him will not be put to shame. Romans 9:30 to 33. Here's my poem. Work from faith versus law-based work. Work from true faith is an act of total God dependence, while law-based work is anchored on self-confidence. Following the law for those with true faith is a result of grace, while religious routines and rituals are byproducts of the law. Here's my commentary. In this letter, Paul presents a comparison between works of righteousness and law-based works. Working for your salvation is a result of faith that is based on following rules or laws so you earn merit for what you do. This is not true faith. It is called religious rituals. Jesus didn't die for a religion, but for a relationship. James defines religion in chapter 1 as pure and undefiled before God the Father. It is defined as visiting orphans and widows in their affliction and to keep oneself unstained from the world. The world focuses on self rather than on God's gift of free grace. When one follows the law through his own effort, that person doesn't depend on God, but on himself. Paul explains again about God's grace and faith in his letter to the Corinthians in 2 Corinthians 12 verse 9, when he said that God's grace is sufficient for you, for God's power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast more gladly of my weaknesses so that the power of Christ rests upon me. He again mentions it in Ephesians 2 verses 8 to 9 when he says, For by grace you have been saved through faith, and this is not your own doing. It is the gift of God, not a result of works, so that no one may boast. True faith leads to good works, since it is a result of God's grace. False faith is doing works to earn merit for themselves. Reflection. How can you differentiate works from true faith versus law-based works? And what's the difference between religion and relationship? You can differentiate the works of true faith by that it does not focus on your own efforts. And while the law-based work is focused on you following the law and getting merits from following the law. So that's very different because when you have true faith, you will bear fruit. And one of the fruit is that you will do good works and that you will be able to glorify God through your faith, not your good works, not through your good works. So in the other way, the law-based work is based on what you have done. In other words, you have been good, you've been a good person, you've been following laws so that you can be seen as good, which is not a byproduct of God's grace. It is a byproduct of of human effort, of human sinfulness. Now, the difference between religion and relationship. Religion is a set of rules and rituals that you do so you can become, you are able to earn your own salvation, while relationship is uh, a dependence, an interdependence. But in this case, because God is sovereign, God is powerful, so you only depend on God. You trust only God, not yourself. So you cannot boast on anything, as Paul says in Ephesians 2. You cannot boast on anything, but because it is not your work, it is God's work. But law-based works does not acknowledge the work of Christ, because the work of Christ is completed when he died on the cross. Thanks for watching. I hope you check my website at ILMA'S.com for artworks, photographs, and a copy of this blog. Please subscribe to my channel on YouTube so I can make more videos and give you the Word of God. And if you haven't already, check over 4,000 videos I've done over the years. I've been doing this daily. Just type on YouTube or Google search ILMA'S Poem Devotional. Have a wonderful day.